Yeah,
you're happy with that?
Me.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody watch us?
I've no idea. Yes, it's something for Ron and Jill and
yes,
like
yes.
That. So I don't think.
Yeah, Jill came to she came to worship on Sunday, and she also came
to Lent group. Yes.
Oh right,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Did she say whether she was coming tonight or not?
No,
Probably
she's
not.
not coming tonight.
No.
She has had one or two things go wrong.
Oh. Right. Yes. Well, I think we're better assume that everyone's here. So the Valley of Dry Bones. I don't know what you feel about this story, but for you.
Sorry. Yeah. I think we just got to pause.
Yeah, I don't know quite whether to carry on or not.
I think so, because she's muted herself, hasn't she?
Yes, she has. Yes, she has. She hasn't started recording, but that won't matter. I mean, she'll be able to pick us up whenever. Yes. I wondered for a minute if it was somebody phoning up, because what often happens is somebody phones up to say they can't get into the meeting, but obviously Kate's gone now. So yes, we'll carry on. Yes, as I say, for many, many years, I had really no clue what this story was about. I think, listening to the bones connected to the hip bone and all that kind of thing. And, I thought, well, but I think gradually you have learned about the fact that it is really about people or the nation becoming almost dead because it had lost its contact with God. And of course, as we found out in reading the passage, that the person who wrote this kind of compares it to the earth going dead because we haven't kept our covenant with God. But anyway, we'll start with the bones, which is the best known of these stories. So we're asked to read the first 14 verses. So if somebody could read up to the end of verse 8, and then somebody else the remaining part to verse 14, that would be a good start for us. Anybody happy to start and read?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, thanks, Steve. I heard Steve's voice above other people's. So we'll accept Steve. And
it was a big mouth.
Somebody for the second part.
I said I'd do.
Oh, Margaret, thank you. Yes, yes, thank you very much. Yes, chapter 37, verses 1 to 8 and 9 to 14.
Okay. God grabbed me. God's spirit took me up and sat me down in the middle of an open plain strewn with bones. He led me around, and among them, a lot of bones. There were bones all over the plain, dry bones, bleached by the sun. He said to me, "Son of man, can these bones live?" I said, "Master God, only you know that." He said to me, "Prophesy over these bones, dry bones, listen to the message of God." God the Master told the dry bones, "Watch this, I'm bringing the breath of life to you and you'll come to life. I'll attach sinews to you, put meat on your bones, cover you with skin and breathe life into you. You'll come alive and you'll realize that I am God." I prophesied just as I'd been commanded. As I prophesied, there was a sound of, rustling. The bones moved and came together, bone to bone. I kept watching. Sinews formed, then muscles on the bones, then skin stretched over them, but they had no breath in them.
Thank you. Thank you.
He said to me, "Prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, Son of Man. Tell the breath, God the Master says, come from the four winds. Come breathe. breathe on these slain bodies, breathe life. So I prophesied just as he had commanded me. The breath entered them and they came alive. They stood up on their feet, a huge army. Then God said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Listen to what they're saying. Our bones are dried up. Our hope is gone. There's nothing left of us. Therefore prophesy. Tell them, God the Master says, I'll dig up your graves and bring you out alive, O my people. Then I'll take you straight to the land of Israel. When I dig up graves and bring you out as my people, you'll realize that I am God. I'll breathe my life into you and you'll live. Then I'll lead you straight back to your land and you'll realize that I am God. I've said it and I'll do it. God's decree.
Right, thank you. Well, it's nice to have two people both reading from the Message. So
Yeah.
you've heard the.
Well, I did a quick scrabble.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this because it is a weird story. But I was thinking to myself, I suppose in many ways, it's really like what preachers and speakers do today. It's kind of giving an illustration. I mean, we use stories, or Jesus used stories, didn't he, to explain things, and some very often a preacher. I was thinking about Pentecost, and when you kind of give examples about what God's Spirit is like, or the breath of the wind and all that kind of thing. And so I suppose that this very unusual story is the way that in those far off days, Ezekiel was getting his message across, and it's certainly a powerful message. Anyway, there are a couple of questions about that, but maybe because our main theme is ecology, and I hope you found the little biography of this gentleman interesting, because he's obviously very committed climate activist, and so it's interesting to know his background. But he says that he sees in Ezekiel quite a lot about the environment, and he sees things that have gone wrong with the environment. So in the notes, he said he thought Ezekiel, who took to the streets with his acts of guerrilla theatre. I mean, this isn't the only time that he did or said something dramatic. He would fit in very well with Extinction Rebellion. I mean, I think Extinction Rebellion perhaps put us off sometimes with their extreme actions. However, if you want to talk about that, we could do later on. I did wonder whether you wanted to talk about climate activism, but anyway, I think we'll do the Bible study as we were asked to do it, and then see what thoughts it gives rise to. So he suggests that actually, although Ezekiel was writing about the nation, he sees lots of parallels to the people who are worried about the ecology of the planet. And so there's a couple of references here, which if you've still got Ezekiel open in front of you, we might have a look at. We'll do them separately, as what we want to know is what sort of disasters is he talking about, and is this happening today? So Ezekiel 20, first of all. I mean, I don't know whether any of you have looked at the whole chapter, but it really just go on and on about all the things that have been going wrong. And but this sort of key part later on in the chapter does certainly sound fairly familiar to us. Yeah. So chapter 20, the final verses of the chapter, 45 to 49, it's headed in, I don't know, whoever reads it can tell us if it has a heading in your version. You'll see. So would somebody read these verses to us?
I will.
Thanks, Cynthia. Yeah. Okay, over to you.
I've got prophecy against the south. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face towards the south. Preach against the south and prophesy against the forest of the southland. Say to the southern forest, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am about to set fire to you, and it will consume all your trees, both green and dry. The blazing flame will not be quenched, and every face from south to north will be scorched by it. Everyone will see that I, the Lord, have kindled it. I will have kindled it. It will not be quenched. Then I said, ah, sovereign Lord, they are saying of me, isn't he just telling parables?
Ah, well, yes. Right.
What
Sounds
version was that, Cynthia?
That's the Women's Bible New International Version.
Right.
Anybody want to comment on anything in their version that was different, either the heading or
Well, the heading, as you no doubt know in the message, is nobody will put out the fire.
yeah, well, yeah. So does that sound, I mean, we do have to get away of thinking that God sends all this as punishment. I think Ezekiel did tend to look at things a bit like that. He spent the whole chapter pleading with them to change their ways. And then sort of at the end, he kind of threatens them, well, if you don't, all this God will send all this terrible disaster on you. I think, well, I don't know, I think we have understood that that isn't the way God works. But nevertheless, this does sound very familiar. So what's the disaster?
Forest fires.
And where's the disaster then today?
Australia.
Southland.
Yeah. Yes.
So, where's the disaster today, did you say?
Yes.
Yes.
California.
Yeah.
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually saw some forest fires on the in Canada 3 years ago now.
Really?
So
Yes.
that's hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
There, so yeah.
So Steve's headline that he's mentioned to us from the message, nobody will put out the fire, almost sounds relevant. I mean, they do have a terrible job, don't they, to put the fires out.
Laura saw them last year in Portugal when she went with the
Right.
Yeah.
They went up to where they were to have a look at them.
Gosh.
I was also thinking man actually sets fire to them on purpose as well, to clear the ground.
Oh, they do.
And cutting down rainforests as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought there was sort of some similarity there as well, that we're doing it ourselves.
Yes.
But some plants don't grow until they've been scorched. The ground's been scorched, do they? And then it's been scorched, they all come back up again.
Yeah.
It's part of the natural cycle in some parts of the world, isn't it?
Yeah. Slash and burn.
Yes. 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 But when you see these terrible disasters with people trying to escape in their cars and the little koala bears in Australia, you know, you do tend to see it as, you know, this is more of a disaster than something helping the planet. Yeah, as you know, my brother and his wife live in California, and they were saying they're short of water already. It's only March, and so you think, oh, you know, another summer with very hot forests coming up. Yeah, so that's certainly, you can see why the person that wrote these notes, because he was a climate campaigner anyway, and why he would see in passages like this some of the problems that are occurring today. So if you could turn over a few pages then and get to Ezekiel 26. And this is verses, it's quite short actually, 19 to 21. So the same idea. Ezekiel shows it as punishment from God, but in fact, it's basically showing us what sort of a disaster he thinks is coming. We heard some different voices. Anybody else to read the passage for us? 19 to 20, verses 19 to 21.
I will, if you like.
Oh, well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah.
This is what the sovereign Lord says. When I make you a desolate city, like cities no longer inhabited, and when I bring the ocean depths over you and its vast waters cover you, then I will bring you down with those who go down to the pit, to the people of long ago. I will make you dwell in the earth below, as in ancient ruins. Those who go down to the pit, and you will not return or take your place in the land of the living. I will bring you to a horrible end, and you will be no more. You will be sought, and you will never again be found, declares the sovereign Lord.
Ooh.
Fearful.
Oh, did.
Old Testament God.
Yeah,
gloom.
God.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Well, yeah, I thought to myself, I'm glad we're not going for a walk in the open air, as Kate had suggested, or somebody had suggested for tonight. But then I
Yeah.
think to myself, I said, oh, let's carry on with this book. And here we are.
It's your fault. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it might be a dark and rainy night, I think, if we're going for a walk. Anyway, disasters here then. What sort of disasters are foreseen, and any modern counterpart?
Flooding. Yeah.
Flooding. Yeah.
Or it could be a gradual rise of the water.
Yeah.
Sea
Yeah.
level, yeah.
Sea
There's-
level.
Yeah, sea level.
There's loads of disasters. I listed a few that I found on
Right.
You
I tell you
want
what then,
them?
should we just, oh, sorry.
Do you want me
Actually,
to
I
list
think-
them?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, do you want to talk about the sea level first, and then you can go through your list, because the sea level is an important issue today, isn't it? Where's that cause a problem? Anybody done?
Some of the islands.
Yes, Margaret. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, Margaret, do you remember that the Christian Aid material a year or two ago was in Bangladesh?
Yeah.
And that struck me so much. Those people were eating they were living on an island, or half the time living in the river, but they were eating their meals with their feet in water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got tsunamis as well, haven't you? Like Japan had that terrible tsunami a couple of years ago, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Thailand.
Sorry, Sue.
Said on Thailand.
Thailand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was after Kyle and Alex had been there for their honeymoon, that one.
Oh gosh. Yes. Sorry, Cynthia, I shouldn't have stopped you, because I think in many ways these are all a bit linked. So go through your list and then we'll see if we can.
I've got London killer fog 1952. It killed 12,000. Nuclear power plant explosion at Chernobyl, Ukraine, and 50 died instantly and 4,000 died of cancer afterwards. Union Carbide cyanide gas leak in India, 5,000 dead, 50,000 had treatment, 500,000 exposed to gas. The Exxon Valdez oil spill in 1989, 750,000 barrels of crude and had spilt. Up to 250,000 seabirds were killed, 2,800 sea otters, 300 harbour seals died, 247 bald eagles and 22 orcas, and unidentifiable numbers of salmon and herring died. The Gulf of Mexico has got a dead zone because of nitrogen and phosphorus waste leaked from the Mississippi River, which is used as a drainage area. And there was others as well, but I got fed up with writing them all down.
Gosh.
I was a bit depressed by then.
Gosh, I should think so. Can anybody beat that?
No.
No. And anything to add?
Are we talking about question 2 here, or
About what?
question
we're
2?
still on 1.
Okay.
No, we're still on 1.
Yeah.
We'll come on
Okay,
to it. It's
right.
just no. I mean, actually, Cynthia's right. There have been so many disasters. Some of the ones you mentioned were very much man-made, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like
oil
the Indian, yes.
Yeah.
But well, I suppose you might say in many ways they
Yes.
are all linked with people's activity because the change. Yeah.
Anybody
any-
read that?
No.
David Attenborough's autobiography.
Right.
Because what he does is he says that we've reached a point where things could just tip, and then it would tip too far.
Right.
And he does there's a paragraph here on 2050s, his predictions, his prophecy for 2050s.
Right.
Any wildfires and thaws occurring in the next 3 decades would send the carbon count of the atmosphere into its own great acceleration. As always, the surface waters of the ocean would take more than their fair share of this carbon. On entering the water, the carbon dioxide forms carbonic acid, first in the shallows, then due to the flow of ocean circulation throughout the water column. By the 2050s, the entire ocean could be sufficiently acidic to trigger calamitous decline.
Well,
I can only read a few words at a time of this book. It's
I'm sure. Yes.
But I think it is just that there's a tipping point now. If we don't pull it back, we've had it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that. I think that is the sense behind what is written here. He says it was too late for Ezekiel. But he said it is too late for us in some instances, but not too late. There is a point where we can do something about resurrection. Well, I think perhaps we better do as Steve said and go on to the second question, because I mean, in many ways, we could be going through all the disasters for ages. And I think we've got the point. So thanks for all that, Cynthia. You really got us going. Right. Now, he gives some examples. He says we've broken the covenant. And he says, and you remember, I think we started off by looking at, God saw that it was good. But of course, there's also the Adam and Eve story where he actually says to them, look after the animals and the planet and so on. And then he says, that's what we haven't tended the earth and cared for it. And so his example is that the industrialized nations of the global north haven't loved our neighbors. We've taken more of our fair share of the earth's resources. We've dumped more than our fair share of pollution into the atmosphere, and we've ignored the suffering of the world's most vulnerable. Discuss.
Yes.
Yes. All of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I mean, do you think that's, obviously he has very, very strong views. Do you think he's gone a bit overboard, or would you agree? And what's he thinking of when he goes on about the global north?
Well, the countries that produce the most pollution, which cause the climate change, are not necessarily the countries that are suffering most as a result of the climate change.
No.
It's a lot of poorer countries where, fishermen or whatever, and they're the ones who are suffering the most, but they're not the ones who've produced the pollution that's caused it.
Yes, and because we've produced that pollution a while ago, we're now trying to change things, and those countries that are suffering from our industrial pollution are where we were in the industrial revolution. So they're so much behind us.
Yes.
Trying to do things now is
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the complaints they made, wasn't it? That we used lots of coal and put pollution into the atmosphere, and now we're trying to stop them doing it.
Yeah.
And they can't kind of pull themselves out of poverty.
Yeah.
Can you think of some other ways in which we think, I'm sure we're part of the global rich north, as he puts it, how are we still inflicting problems or being uncaring about some of the less developed countries?
Well, the EU would say we're not doing our bit with the vaccine, wouldn't it?
It would, yes. I think a lot of this is quite sort of contemporary. I was thinking about the sending our waste to countries like the Philippines and whatever. You see stories on the television or in the newspaper about piles of rubbish in some countries which have really come from us. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yes. Well, yes. It makes hard reading and hard thinking, I think, all of this. But it is part of our exploration and I remind you that if we ever do get to the end of this course, we do concentrate on resurrection and things becoming better. And indeed, there is, even in this one very demanding chapter, there is the sense of resurrection or the possibility of resurrection at the end. Well, if you think later on of any more current examples, do throw them in, because I'm sure there's lots and lots.
Yeah.
However, would you like to go back to the dry bones then, the story that we read at the beginning, because that is what he used as his key text. And there are some things in this story which makes us think about where might the solution come from. So question 3 says, why does God ask Ezekiel if the bones can live? And what do you make of Ezekiel's answer? Verse 3, he asked me, son of man, can these bones live?
His answer is only if you say so. Only you can answer that.
Only you can answer that. Yes. What sort of question might we be being asked then in terms of the situation in our world today? Margaret was quoting from David Attenborough. What sort of question do you think David Attenborough is asking us now?
Can we pull it back?
Pull it back.
Yeah, I think so.
Pull back quickly. Yeah.
Yes. So in many ways, that's it is quite a parallel actually to what God said to Ezekiel, and Ezekiel said, "You alone know." What would your answer be then? How did you express it? Can we pull it back? Can we halt, or can we improve the situation? Can we halt the decline?
I think we all know what we're supposed to be doing, and I think we know what we need to do. It's just that in a lot of ways we don't want to give up the things that we've got now, like plastic, because so many things in our world today are made of plastic. So we've been a bit selfish, really, I suppose.
I think we.
What?
Yeah, we're not doing the recycling that we should do.
No.
And there was a program on the television the other night about the recycling some of it is just being burnt. And we're putting more carbon in the atmosphere than we were when we were burning coal.
Really?
Yeah,
Gosh.
we're burning I think over half of what councils collect for recycling. Half of it is just burnt.
Crikey, I didn't realise that.
No, I didn't.
No.
One good thing they were using plastics for was I saw a program as well, and that was they were making like little pellets with the plastic, and these pellets were then heated up and put it to mend the roads in the potholes and things like that. Yeah.
There's a thing in the borough. I don't know whether anybody get. Well, I suppose we all must get it at some stage. The borough bulletin, or it might be that, or Leicestershire Matters, one of those free things that they send round, and they're using something for the roads, aren't they? So I think it's recycled car tires or something that they're using as something. I don't know. Presumably, it's not the top surface, but it's to smooth the roads down. Rachel, I think you might have been going to say something.
I was just going to say, of course, we're producing even more throwaway plastic now because of the pandemic.
Yes.
I mean, I just working at the clinic. I mean, I was talking to one of the practitioners about this the other day, and we were saying it's frightening. We're only a small clinic, one small clinic, and I mean the amount of plastic aprons and disposable gloves and all that stuff that just one small clinic is producing.
Yes.
And when you think about that multiplied by the thousands and thousands of other places.
Yes. So what do you think our response should be then? If we're asked this question, can we reverse all the trends of what's happening today? Can we bring things back to life?
Yeah, we need to do more than recycle.
We've got to try, because even people like David Attenborough are still asking, can we, aren't they? That, really clever scientific people are not absolutely sure, but
yes. I keep wondering, my initial reaction would be to give an answer something like, well, we'll all have to work together or something like that. We'll have to get everybody on board. And then you think, well, could individuals make a difference? And then you look at Greta Thunberg and you think, well, she may not have cracked it totally, but she certainly got the message across, didn't she?
I think that if we all start with small things, those small things come together to make bigger things. And I think that in the end, it's making a difference.
We'll all have to become vegetarian.
Yeah, well, yeah. And
fewer animals, less meat. They making meat like vegetarians.
Oh, yeah.
And this pandemic,
that would be really hard to do, wouldn't it?
And this pandemic has cut back on airplanes considerably.
Yeah.
Which makes such a difference.
Well, and use of cards.
Yes.
I mean, I've only filled mine up twice.
Yes.
I think it's not this country that's got to sort of try harder. It's every country in the world.
Yes.
And some of them are not really very agreeable, are they?
No.
Well, they were saying during the lockdown, there was no air travel. The ozone layer was actually repairing itself, didn't they?
Yes. Oh, well, we can say all that again when we come to the last question, I think, because there are some signs of hope there. Right, Ezekiel said, well, I don't know whether they can or not. You're the only one. God only knows, I suppose, could be part of his answer. Anyway, so what happens in this story then? Well, clearly God could do this prophesying or however it's expressed here, because what he actually says to the bones, he could say that, but he doesn't. He asks, he gets Ezekiel to do it. Why might that be?
it's our job to try and put it right, isn't it? God will give us the power to do it, but we can't just sit back and say, well, God will sort it out.
God
Because-
works through people, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
Yes.
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. Yeah, in all sorts of instances, actually, not just to do with the planet, but in
Yeah.
bringing help. Yes. Mm. Oh,
I haven't got an answer for that one, so that's interesting, really.
yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, I was just thinking we've answered that fairly quickly compared
Yeah.
with some of the other ones, but I think, you know, what you've said is absolutely it, isn't it? That's the way God works. He gets he has no hands but our hands. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd never thought of that in terms of the environment, because when we used to sing that sort of thing, you know, you used to think about helping other people and all that kind of thing. But yeah, so how I'm going to put in a little supplementary question here then, because I've only just thought of it. I would have added it in if I'd thought of it earlier on. So how can we then do our prophesying over the bones, or how can we play our part in helping the environment? I don't want you to look at individual things. I mean, sort of generally. I mean, what could we do? Could we just change our own lifestyle, or could we talk to other people, or could we write letters?
Well, I suppose we've got these big conferences this year, haven't we?
Yeah.
I dare say Christian Aid will be bringing out petitions, etc., for that for us to sign.
Yeah, thank you. I asked that question because I'm not very good at all that, you see. Really, we should be writing to our MP. Well, I think we probably should. You know, we should be standing up and being counted. And I really feel as if I'm not good. I think I may have said to you the other day, the only time I've written to my MP recently was to complain about Dominic Cummings. And I think, well, really, you know, there's all these issues of justice and fairness and everything in the world, and I'm not doing all these things. Well, I do occasionally sign one of the things that Christian Aid sends out, but you know, and so this really raises the question, doesn't it? This man that wrote all this belongs to an organization. It's a Christian organization. It's called Christian Climate Change, or what is it? I've forgotten. Christian Climate Action is a community of Christians committed to prayerful direct action and public witness in response to climate breakdown. So he was out there in the streets when Extinction Rebellion were kind of jamming the streets up. I don't know what you think.
I don't like to put my head above the parapet, really.
No.
I suppose I'm accountable for other people to do that.
Yeah. Yes.
I suppose you need this direct action, don't you, to actually get people to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I can't sit on our hands, I suppose, indefinitely. I just thought it was interesting to hear about there being a Christian movement within that organisation.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
Heard of it.
No. But then when it came, I don't know, when it came to kind of, you know, stopping the life of the city, which is what the whole organisation was accused of doing, I felt very uncomfortable with that. You know, I find this one's quite a difficult one, but it certainly does remind us, as you say, that there are Christian people who really do, you know, put all their principles into action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, you know, like there are all these marches as well. People do those, don't they? And
yes,
you know, like the Christian Aid usually has an annual march, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, at one time it was all about third world debt and that sort of thing.
Yes, I was thinking about the Jubilee Debt campaign.
Yeah, I know people who've gone. My brother used to go on those, and there's a little bit of regret in me that I've never gone to actually
Yes,
share in that public protest,
yes.
but I haven't.
No. Well, I feel like that, Margaret. As I say, I think of all the things that I could have done and should have done, and yeah, I don't know.
We do have to stand up and be counted. I mean, I think that's why, in a sense, David Attenborough is over the television like a rash at the moment. He's sort of reached his 90 years. He hasn't got much longer, has he?
No, he knows that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that struck me about it, it's not necessarily us that's going to be affected, but certainly, you know, if you sort of think of 2050, 2080, it's going to be my grandchildren, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes.
David is so passionate about it, but it's not doing it for him, is he? Because he was not going to be here.
No. Right. Well, question 5. You know, there's a lot to do. You've mentioned one or two of these things. I think just the way the questions are phrased gives us an opportunity to pull all these things together. We've talked about all these global problems and countries emitting too much waste and all that. And you have commented a little bit about things that we could do personally, any changes to our lifestyle we could make, or anything we feel quite ashamed about, or a little bit guilty about, perhaps.
I've got one. I'll admit to straight away. I go on a regular walk for my exercise, and I walk past so much litter. You know, when you think of trying to get people to change their attitudes to recycling and that, you know, there's huge numbers of people in our country who just sort of think litter can be thrown, and you know, and I ought to be out there with my litter picker. I know I should. I will get driven to it at some stage, but you know, unless you're actually doing it, it's all a bit tokenism, isn't it? But litter so harms our environment, doesn't it? There's on the ring road, there's a lovely bed with 3 or 4 little bits of primroses along, very pretty. And in amongst there's masks, beer bottles, cans, paper cups, and it looks awful. Perhaps not tomorrow, perhaps the next day.
Yes. Bob, sorry.
We ought to do what we did when Julie Minns was here. We went on a litter picking.
We did, yeah.
And it was good. I enjoyed it, and several people sort of spoke about it afterwards, and you know, I've kept the cutting, and you know, because there was a photograph of us outside church, but we made a difference, and it was something that, you know, we ought to probably do again.
We did it last month in Message Church.
Yeah, didn't we?
We gave each child a litter picker, and the family went on the walk around the area collecting litter, and then we encouraged them to take their litter picker home to litter pick around their area. So
good for you.
It needs to be done regularly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has to be done regularly, because you turn your back and there's another bit there.
Yes. Sue, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, just as she said, given them to do around their own area. I said Robin came and litter picked around my road.
I think when we did the litter pick for a church as well, quite a few people, while we were out, asked us what we were doing, why we were doing it.
They
it
did.
Gave us an opportunity.
And it was at least the church doing something active that people could see, them trying to make a difference in the community.
Well, when we were looking at that Way Ahead document, we said that perhaps that would be a way of going out to worship God
Yes.
a month.
Mm.
You know, we wouldn't need a preacher necessarily for that Sunday.
No.
we just pack everybody else off to other churches, you see, and we could go litter picking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting used to the outdoor life. It shouldn't be any hardship.
Yes.
I think the council are keen on litter picking, you know, because again, in all the stuff that comes out from the town and from the county, they're talking about. I mean, what you've all been doing is to be a womble, and they call it these days supporting the wombles. And I think the county council have even actually there is a team locally because I belong to not that I've volunteered to litter pick, but I should have done. Belong to the Leicester Road group where we get various bits of information about what's happening, and there is a Leicester Road group that does some litter picking sometimes, and I think that the council are prepared to give some. I'm not sure quite what the financial support would be, whether they would pay for your equipment or something. I don't know, but
probably buy your picker and give you
Yeah.
high vis something.
yes, yes, yes.
Maybe during when we're isolating, maybe we could get out as long as we kept 2 meters apart. Maybe we could do that.
Yes.
Well, in church, in the office, there are a few leftover litter pickers. If you fancy going into the office and grabbing one, I'm sure that we wouldn't mind. So.
Yeah.
All right. Oh.
So that's
right.
That's one personal sin.
Yeah. Any more?
I think mine is I'm doing for my dad, really. My dad and my stepmom have decided not to fly again. Not to go on holiday where they need to fly. So that's what they've done for the environment. So driving to, I don't know where, but France and places they can drive to, but
yeah. Well, hearing people say that though makes me feel so guilty because I don't think I'm ready to make that commitment.
I know.
oh yeah, I'm not either, but they are. So that's yeah.
Yes.
But you've got a daughter that lives abroad, Gwen, and that makes a difference.
Well, possibly, yes.
I wonder what the difference in the footprint is of 300 people driving to France and 300 people going on a plane.
Yeah.
Be interesting to know,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You have to get the bike out.
Yes.
Well, yes, again, that's what.
Car.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, if we can afford it, yes.
Yes.
Has
I'm
anybody
thinking
got
about
a
that.
hybrid? Has anybody got a hybrid car?
My dad has.
Has he? Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother had, yeah.
I'm definitely considering my next purchase when I need to replace the car of getting an electric car.
Yeah. Well, you won't really have much choice, will you, if it's going to go like
No.
No.
So, well, actually, the question says, what are the personal sins we need to repent? So perhaps you ought to, so Margaret's repenting, not picking up litter or not taking the opportunity to tidy up. I mean, as I say, I certainly feel guilty about not being prepared to give up flying and so on. And I don't know whether you call it repenting because I haven't changed my ways, but you know, they are real challenges to us. Is there any other sort of sin? Are you using
using the world's resources without thought to the consequences to other human beings and animals.
Yes. Have you got anything special in mind? What sort of resources?
Well, all the that electricity and oil. And,
Buying too many plastic things.
Yeah, too many plastic things. Yeah, I mean, I just switch a switch and the lights come on and flick a flicker and the gas comes on and I don't think really, you know, about it. It's just there for me and I use it without a thought.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, using nylon carpets and all. Howard and I have been discussing lately with about the beds, that the mattresses they're making now, which are all this foam rubber mattresses. How are they going to get rid of all these foam mattresses?
Yeah,
Which is quite worrying, really, because they won't go back down to the soil. They'll be there forever and a day. They'll never go. Millions of mattresses.
Yeah.
So you're having some straw bales delivered, are you?
I'm having a palliasse.
Same thing.
I'm having a palliasse, Bob.
Either that, or it's not a new mattress every 9 years, as they
It's the material nowadays that they're making it with, though, isn't it? It's a new material. Instead of the metal springs, it's this sleep foam. It's the sleep foam thing where you can lay on it and your body goes into a form on the mattress, doesn't it? It's the foam rubber that they're using now. And they'll be going all into landfill.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, shall we move on then to question 6, which is how can we bring resurrection to the environment, which I suppose we've touched on a little bit. And I think somebody did mention earlier on, have we already seen any signs of this where positive change has occurred? Because we need to end on a slightly more upbeat note.
We're trying to plant more trees, aren't we?
Yes.
I've got that. Yeah. Going towards electric vehicles.
Yes.
The air pollution over cities has decreased this year, so we have to try and keep that up.
Yes.
We're not trying to use more paper bags, aren't we?
Yes.
One of the supermarkets isn't actually going to supply plastic bags anymore, is it?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't know. I forget which one it was, but you couldn't buy a plastic bag.
Yes.
I don't know if it's come into effect yet.
There are substances now that looks like plastic, but it isn't, and it goes back down again. It's a vegetable material.
Yes, I think sometimes some organisations that send you some of these endless brochures and things through the post are using covers that are not plastic, but you can put them into the compost.
Today, I heard that Tesco's are recycling those bags that councils are not taking. So that soft plastic.
Oh yes.
So in certain supermarkets, Tesco's, they've got boxes you can put your recycled food bag, bread bags and fruit and vegetable bags into if your county council doesn't recycle them. So
Andrew, listening to Bob, they just go and burn them.
Yeah, probably.
I suppose that is something we sort of ought to hold government to account on, isn't it? If we could, that's something worth writing about, isn't it? It's getting the facts about it all, isn't it, and understanding it.
I've been ordering raw dog food for our dog, and I felt a bit guilty really, because every time I put an order in, it comes in it's frozen, and so it comes in sort of like a huge polystyrene box because it's frozen. And then what do you do with them? I'm not sure you can recycle them.
No, I don't think you can actually. No. I mean, I got a bit. Sorry, No, I was going to say I got a bit worked up about all the packaging that was coming from when we had to order everything online because you can't go to the shops. I was ending up ordering quite a few things online, and they all came in massive, great cardboard boxes. But then I thought, well, at least that can be recycled. If it's cardboard, it presumably, has a future life ahead of it. But
that's all energy got to be used for that, hasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
It amazes me actually. You could sort of strip these boxes down, couldn't you?
Yes.
And
yeah.
pass them somewhere really and reuse them.
Yes.
Rather than actually have to bring out new ones.
Yes.
But you couldn't today because of COVID, could you? Because everybody would be touching the boxes. They'd be saying, oh, well, we can't do that because too many people have handled them.
Yeah. Can't win.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have seen these positive changes occurring, if only temporary sometimes, as you say, during the lockdown, because there's been far less pollution in the atmosphere and a chance to listen to the birds and so on. And I mean, I don't know whether this is helping the environment in general, but I was watching on the news today. Is it that it's one of the species that's about to be extinct? They're beginning. Was it a black rhino or something? Did anybody see this? So all this, kind of helping the planet. Oh, and they've reintroduced beavers, haven't they, into certain areas in the country? So there are kind of signs of some people doing some things. And I suppose I don't know what you think the message for us in all this is. To me, it is very much of a challenge, a wake-up call, and a constant reminder to us that the responsibility is he has no hands but our hands. And if see how our writer proclaimed all this. He was there in Marble Arch. I thought it was quite dramatic, as you say. It's good to know that there are Christians there in the middle of all this. And he called out, death does not get the final word. Extinction cannot have the final word. The spirit of Jesus infuses the universe, and it's a spirit of resurrection. So a reminder to us that if we're followers of Jesus, then we have to do our part in looking forward to the resurrection of our world.
Don't want the dinosaur coming back though.
No, true. Well, do you want to say anything else, or shall we turn to worship? Well, I've not spoken to Kate at all, so I don't know what she has in store for us. But,
I found it really difficult this week, as you can imagine.
I thought you might be praying the dry bones to us.
Dry bones and bones and dry bones.
Yes, it was quite difficult because I know what's coming up, and so I didn't want to do anything that trod on those toes, I suppose. So we're kind of doing. Yeah,
it was always going to. I mean, the discussion's probably been one of the best we've had, but it's always going to be a thorny subject, isn't it?
Yeah, I watched actually a Zoom talk. What did they call them now? It was by the Baptist Union on YouTube, and there were 2 talks, and this one was about doxecology, and they had Sam Hargreaves from Engage Worship and Joel Payne from Sound talking to Tim from the Baptist Union about this subject. And it was, well, I put it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So if you want to listen to it, it's about what we've been talking about tonight is from 49 minutes onwards, but you can watch all of it because it's on everything we're doing now. But it's, yeah, anyway, so I thought it was interesting, and that other people might enjoy too.
So what are the words you have to put in to let it call it?
It's on my YouTube channel. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
The link to that
Yes.
when I've done tonight's.
You didn't record us in the end, did you? I don't think.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
have.
there.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Recording.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
So I'm going to start off with a song. Now, it's not one that, well, it's not one that you might know, but it's thought-provoking. It struck me as being the right words about the subject we're on about tonight. So, yeah, it's my personal choice. Okay.
When it's all been said and done, there is just one thing that matters. Did I do my best to live for truth? Did I live my life for you? And when it's all been said and done, all my treasures will mean nothing. Only what I've done for love's reward will stand the test of time. Lord, your mercy is so great that you look beyond our weakness and find pure as gold in miry clay, making sinners into saints. And I will always sing your praise here on earth and ever after. For you've shown me heaven's my true home. When it's all been said and done, you're my life when life is gone. When it's all been said and done, there is just one thing that matters. Did I do my best to live for truth? Did I live my life for you? Lord, I live my life for you.
I like the line, did I live my life for truth? And thinking about the covenant in Genesis, I was breaking that covenant with God. And anyway, right. The next thing is prayer of confession, which you can all say along. I've got a PowerPoint. Okay, let us pray. God who gives freedom, God who gives choices. Each day we can choose how we treat your creation. Thoughtlessly or with a gardener's attention, carelessly or with a shepherd's protection, selflessly or with creative generosity. We confess that we have fallen short in the choices we have made and the ways we've used our freedom. We admit that we have not seen the world through your eyes and have not honoured you in the ways we have treated your planet. We believe you are a God of grace and transformation. We trust you will forgive our mistakes, restore your image in us, and fill us with your spirit to live differently. Change our hearts, change our actions, change attitudes and systems, that we may glorify you and restore your planet for the good of all creation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. In the Zoom chat, there's a question that comes up from 49 minutes onwards. He says, how might singing about climate change from a position of hope help change our hearts? So the question this person wanted to ask him was, how might the songs from doxecology influence us going forwards? How can they be about hope? And it goes into lots of details about the gloom and doom of the environment agencies, how they've used gloom and doom in the past, and nobody listened. And now they've changed to words of hope, because that's engaging people in the cause. And that's the way of Jesus, because Jesus gives hope. And the Joel Payne from Resound Worship, he says that's not something that Christian people have necessarily done, but something that's evolved, but there is Christian teaching there. And then we've used prayers of confession, because the song tonight is about that forgiveness that God is giving us, I suppose. And what he says about, he gives a concept of renewal or creation again, redemption in all things under God. So it's a difficult subject, because the confession and the forgiveness, and hopefully next time we meet, we go on to real hope, real forward thinking. But this is the song that now is tonight's song, If the Fields Are Parched. Oh dear. Right. Screen's really big. That's better. Okay.
If the fields are parched and the trees are felled, will the rocks cry aloud on their own? If the birds are starved and the beasts are killed, will the bones in the dust lift a song? Have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord. Forgive our broken ways. Have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord. Renew the world you made. As the oceans rise and the wells run dry, do we care if disaster is near? If our children starve, will they cry to God? Will they curse us for closing our ears? Have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord. Forgive our broken ways. Have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord. Renew the world you made. Still a day will come when the Lord returns and the earth will be perfect again. No more greed or war, no more tooth and claw, for the wolf and the lamb will be friends. Have mercy, Lord, have mercy, Lord. Forgive our broken ways. Have mercy, Lord. Have mercy, Lord. Renew the world you made. Have mercy, Lord. Have mercy, Lord. Forgive our broken ways. Have mercy, Lord. Have mercy, Lord. Renew the world you made.
So that's kind of halfway through, I suppose. Yeah. Right. But the Zoom talk on YouTube was very interesting. So as I say, I'll put that on if people want to listen.
Oh, so yes, thank you. So we were going to do something different, weren't we? Next, but what do you think?